Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's session, Selling Through Online Platforms. It's wonderful to see you all today, and I hope you're all well. My name is Gemma, and I am from the Expo North Digital team. Expo North Digital is Highlands and Islands Enterprises mechanism for specialist digital support for the creative and heritage economies across the Highlands and Islands region, and the project is delivered by the Ironworks venue. This workshop is part of HIE's Northern Innovation Hub, designed to build on and accelerate business innovation. It is funded through the Inverness and Highlands City Region Deal, a joint initiative supported by £315 million of investment from the UK and Scottish Government, Highland Council, HIE and UHI. I am now going to pass over to our fashion, craft and textile specialist, Ms. Joan Johnson.
Thank you, Gemma, and welcome everybody. Glad we've all been able to connect okay. The joys of technology can always be challenging, and that's one of the things we're going to be talking about today, how we can connect with people through different online platforms. I am Joan Johnson. I'm the textiles fashion and craft specialist with Expo North, and I also have my own online business as well. So I understand the challenges that many of you also face making and delivering products to consumers. So I am absolutely delighted to have Gillian Crawford here today. Gillian is a very accomplished entrepreneur with lots of experience behind her, and delighted that she's happy to share her knowledge as well and talk about what she has done with Lily Blanche, which is her online product and platform. So Gillian is also an award-winning journalist. She was a commentator with the Sunday Times. And interestingly too, she is chair of the British Association of Women Entrepreneurs here in Scotland, which is BAWE for short. It's an organisation for senior female entrepreneurs in scale-up mode. Gillian's also an ambassador for Women's Enterprise Scotland and a founding member of the Institute of Ecommerce. So she really does come with a lot of knowledge and information to share with us. I just want to double check. I've missed Gillian from the screen, but hopefully she's still connected because I know she has.
Can you hear me too?
Yeah, I can hear you. Brilliant. Great. So
right.
I'm going to hand over to Gillian, and I'm going to ask Gillian first of all really to introduce Lily Blanche and what she does with the brand as a starting.
Excellent. Well, first of all, I'm just delighted to be here. Thank you so much. I'm the one who's having the tech problems, which is a bit of a worry. We've just changed broadband suppliers. So if for any reason I drop off, I'll probably still be talking. Just stick something in chat, Joan. Just let me know either through WhatsApp. But I'm hoping now that we've got this stable and we're good to go. So yeah, thanks so much. We're a pure play e-commerce company, and I just live and breathe e-commerce. I mean, what would be great to know would be just stick it in chat. How many of you have your own websites already? That would be really helpful. And, you know, we'll try and make this as sort of interactive as possible, so you're not just listening to me rabbit on. But my company is called Lily Blanche. My website is lilyblanche.com. I will stick that in the chat. And we are a personalized jewelry company. So we specialize in 2, 4 and 6 photo lockets, other kinds of personalized jewelry as well. But that's kind of our bread and butter. So we do all the fulfillment ourselves because we personalize everything. We put the photos in, we do the engraving in our studio in Stirling. And I kind of had a bit of an epiphany moment, I guess. You know, we started off as a fairly traditional B2B company selling to other retailers at a time when that was actually quite a feasible thing to do, and there was trade shows and all the rest of it. But there was this particular trade show. I had just bought my business partner out of the business. She had her own business as well. We were both quite busy. And I remember standing at Scotland's Trade Fair in Glasgow one really miserable January and thinking there has to be a better way to do this, you know, waiting for buyers to come and just waiting for traffic to come past your door. And at that point, I kind of decided that I was going to do e-commerce. And I thought, well, I'll just go and find the person at Scottish Enterprise or wherever who knows all about e-commerce, and they'll tell me what to do, and then we'll do that. Well, that was the start of a journey. I couldn't find anyone in Scotland who could tell me what I needed to know. So then I was up in the little wee hours of the morning on webinars in Eastern time with various American entrepreneurs and all the rest of it. And I really, you know, I'm quite self-taught. But from there, we've built a community in Scotland of e-commerce people. We ran a very successful course for senior e-commerce managers in conjunction with Strathclyde University, and I've done some training for Women's Enterprise Scotland. So we have learned the hard way through, you know, through what works and what doesn't work for us. None of it is theoretical. It has all been tested and practiced, and we've kind of made every mistake in the book. So that's really kind of where I am at now. And as you'll all know with your own websites, you know, e-commerce is just endlessly changing. You just think you've got something nailed, and then they go and, you know, cookies are going in Q4, or, you know, Google is changing some major algorithm, and everything changes. So it's such a fast-moving, fast-paced kind of business. But when you get it right, it's so worthwhile. You know, the money just comes ka-ching straight into your bank account. You're not chasing payment and all the rest of it. So it's a very flexible and really very adaptable kind of way of selling. So that's really where my story began, Joan. I'll let you ask the questions.
Thanks, Gillian. That's great. So I guess the thing with Lily Blanche is obviously you're pretty well established. You've done all the learnings, and you've done all the learnings the hard way, as most people do these days. When we talk about platforms of how to sell, there's obviously multiple choices out there. Having your own website and transactional website, as well as a range of different platforms that are available now, and they're growing more so than ever. So I guess the first thing would be, in terms of what you sell on currently, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a journey as well. For complete historical legacy reasons I won't get into, our first website was built in Magento 1 many years ago, and Magento 1 was bought by Adobe. It became end of life, so we had to get off it. We had to get off it because it wasn't going to be supported, and there was going to be issues with Visa and all the rest of it. So at that point, we did a big exercise looking at where we should go next. We were pretty sure it wasn't going to be Magento 2, but we took a look at BigCommerce and we looked at Shopify, and we did a whole big exercise, and we plumped for BigCommerce. And it was good for us. You know, there was lots of things that were good for us, but BigCommerce changed quite a lot in the process. And after a couple of years on there, I realized that it really wasn't meeting all of our needs. It was quite expensive. We couldn't do the internationalization we wanted to do. They were moving more to B2B, and we were very definitely B2C. So this summer in August, we re-platformed again. Honestly, people, don't do it if you don't have to, but we re-platformed to Shopify, and we love Shopify. So we've kind of done, you know, gone backwards. So we're on Shopify now. It's so much cheaper. I cannot tell you how much cheaper it is to be on Shopify than on BigCommerce, but it was costing us just about £1,000 a month just to be on the platform before we even sold anything on BigCommerce. So Shopify is not perfect. No platform is. We're still getting to know it quite a bit, but we're very happy with the move, and we did it all in-house. Our team is really e-commerce focused. We're a team of about 6. We do have a full stack developer. You don't need a full stack developer on Shopify, and that's one of the great benefits of it. Apart from that, we've been really successful selling on Etsy. Now, we're quite high end. Our jewelry ranges, you know, kind of our hero piece is a memory keeper locket that takes 6 photos, and it's kind of £300–400. And I thought, no, this is never going to do on Etsy. You know, people on Etsy are selling around the 30 to 50 quid mark. There's lots of cheap jewelry on Etsy. But one of my team, Natalie, she set up the Etsy shop, and she really became the Etsy queen. So we did 100,000 on Etsy last year, and we're really on top of the optimization of Etsy. And what I would say, if you're using a platform, is you got to optimize them. You know, these platforms you optimize really differently than you do your website. So, you know, for example, the kind of keywords that we use on Etsy are quite different from the kind of keywords that we use on the website. You've got to do your keyword research and kind of work that out. So yeah, Etsy's been great for us. Etsy is also having its troubles. Amazon, we did quite a lot on pre-Brexit. Amazon was our internationalization strategy. I just thought, if we're going to expand, we have to go into international markets. But we, the cheapest way to do it is through a platform. Now we sell about a third of our Etsy sales are North American. So North America kind of made sense for us. It's quite difficult with our kind of jewelry on Amazon. They need to, it's all got to be sent to America and be tested, even though we have it all hallmarked here. But we did look at Europe. So we were selling quite strongly into Europe with Amazon. And all of you who've got websites that will know Brexit has completely, whatever your political views are, Brexit has made it much, much more difficult to sell into Europe. So customs charges are way up, shipping charges are way up, huge delays, lots of sort of irrational things. So that plan to use Amazon for that kind of reason has kind of gone by the by, and we're rethinking our Amazon strategy. But these are kind of the main platforms we're selling on. There is this just plug it in. And of course, with Shopify, there's so many integrations, you can just plug it in and upload everything to the platforms. But my advice would be, if you're doing that, do it in batches of your best sellers first, or what you think is going to work best in these markets, and then optimize them for that platform. Don't rely on your website SEO to work. A, because it's a different international market, and B, because people search in different ways on different websites. There's a different audience, and what they call things is differently. What Etsy is looking for, Etsy customers are looking for, they may end up buying the same locket, but they're calling it quite a different thing. So our vintage heart locket on the website might be more like a Victorian locket on Etsy. And there are tools that you can use for all of these websites, all of these platforms. They're really, really good tools. If you're using Etsy, my top tip would be eRank. There's a tool called eRank. It's super cheap. It's about $4 a month, $5 a month. And it will show you all your competitors, what keywords to rank for, what to look for. It's absolute gold dust. They're not charging enough for it. It does make a massive difference. So, these kind of tools can make a massive difference to how you perform on these kind of platforms. So, for Amazon, it would be something like Helium 10. You would need, that is a paid for app again, but it will give you the rankings for your competitors. It will give you the keywords you need to focus on for your product. And it will just give you
listen to this.
Whole host of information. So these that would be my top tip when it comes to platforms.
I think Claire Louise there has just asked, how do you spell? There's a couple of recommendations there that you made.
Oh, right, sure, right.
You put that in the chat, but I'm just going to jump in at this point and talk about the bigger picture of the consideration for choosing the right platform. So there's effectively 4 areas that you need to think about. The first thing is your target audience, considering where your ideal customers are likely to be. And different platforms attract different demographics as well. So it's really about understanding your product and your audience, who it is that you want to sell to. So really consider that target audience and then do your research around that. In addition to that, there are aspects like fees and costs, and that's a big part, depending on the size or the scale of your business as well, and the prices that you're charging. So every platform has a charge, and we can go through some examples of those, but effectively it's the platform fees and commission structures to ensure that they align with your budget and profit margins of what you want to achieve. So there's, again, a lot of research to work out what's the best option for you, aligned to those fees. The third aspect is shipping and logistics. Again, check the platform shipping options and assess whether they cater to your delivery needs, especially if you plan to sell internationally, because some will support a lot on that. Some you obviously have to do yourself. But there's much more options, even, for smaller items, going with Royal Mail, Tracked and Trace and Tracked, etc., through to the DHLs, the bigger courier companies, which obviously there's different costing rates there. And then lastly, I would just add the, support and resources. So look for platforms that offer seller support and resources, particularly if you're new to this. So you need to be able to tap into the knowledge that other people are sharing of what they've done before, because you can learn so much from others. And so really it's about what educational materials they will have to help you grow your business. So those are the sort of 4 considerations that I think you need to consider before you choose which platform you would go with. Gillian, would you agree with that? Would you think those are...
You know, in theory, Joan, I would, and that's absolutely copper-bottomed, solid gold advice. Go with Shopify. You know, I'm going to throw it all into the wind and say, you can do all this research, you can do all the costings, you can think you've got it all right. You know, for small businesses, Shopify is absolutely where you need to be. And I say this having been through, you know, pretty much all the major platforms. I mean, obviously, if you're with Wix or you're with WooCommerce and you love them, fine. I haven't got experience of those. But if you want to do e-commerce and you want it to be well optimized, you want Google to find you, you need to be probably on Shopify. It'll be the cheapest and easiest way of doing it. You know, you can do other platforms and you can get good results. But if you want my experience, and I think the experience of the community is, for small businesses, Shopify is the way to go. It's just a lot more Google friendly. And that's what you don't know about these. You know, you can do all your research and all the rest of it, and you can think you've got it right. And and things change so quickly. And just now, I would say, you know, you can do a Shopify website for, you know, just a few quid a month if you want. You really, because what you need to discover is that, you know, something like BigCommerce is going to charge you per sale. So as your sales go up, you're going to be paying a bigger percentage of your just going to be paying a lot more as your sales grow up, and it ratchets up quite quickly. With Shopify, you can be, I mean, I know businesses that are 4 or 5 million pounds on Shopify, and they haven't even moved to Shopify Enterprise, the top level. Now, Enterprise is expensive on Shopify. It's a couple of grand a month. But if you are selling, you know, anything up to about 4 or 5 million, you can use one of the cheaper models, and they are much, much cheaper. And you will, you know, it's just very Google friendly. And what I would also say to you is, it's fine to do all that research and all the rest of it. You need to speak to people in the community about what to do, because, you know, everything's theoretical until you try it, and then you discover all the pitfalls. So for something like, if you're building a website, you need to decide what theme you're going to use, for example. Now, you could do all you could get these wonderful themes, and a jewelry company, it could have this sort of personalization built in, it could have this great 3D. You know, we made the decision to go with the most basic theme that Shopify do, which is a Dawn theme. I'll put that there. Because it's updated. They test everything on the Dawn theme. The Dawn theme is so Google friendly. The fonts are perfect for Google. Everything is designed for Google. They test everything first on the Dawn theme, and then they, when new apps are brought out, Shopify do a lot of work testing the apps. The apps are all designed for the Dawn theme first, you know. But you will find millions of themes on Shopify, and you may do your research and think, well, this is the look and feel I want for my website. But actually, what you really need is something that's got the functionality, the user experience, and the Google friendliness, so that you're going to be found. You can have the most perfect website, most beautifully designed website in the world, but if it's not Google friendly, if the apps don't fit with it properly, so that's where I'm thinking, you know, absolutely what Joan has said is absolutely right, but there is no substitute for finding people of experience and asking what it is that they do. And then in e-commerce, do the thing that everybody is doing. Do not plow your own furrow. Do not go for a bespoke website designed by some, because Google runs the internet and everything has to go through Google. I mean, it's about 80-90% of all searches go through Google. So if it's not specified to Google specifications, it doesn't matter how beautiful it is or how great it looks or what it can do. You need it to work, and you need it to work fast, because these are the things that convert. These are the things that make the sales. And in fact, when we built the Shopify website, we still have our full stack developer, and he put some little tweaks on it that we already had on BigCommerce, or our customers knew them. We had some nice features. we've taken them all off, you know, because it's slowing down the website. It's not what Shopify want us to do. We need to keep it much more basic because we're in a closed platform. We can't just be adding JavaScript to this platform. And that's been a learning experience for us. So yeah, I think that's, you know, that's the thing about e-commerce. The theory and the practice are so different, you know, and you only discover it by jumping in and making the mistakes. But if you can learn from other people, you can save yourself a lot of heartache. So yeah, I think what you say is absolutely right in theory. We did that the first time we ended up with BigCommerce. We should just have asked a lot of people and gone with Shopify, you know. That's just
good. Can I just add that we are not here or in any way paid by Shopify to promote?
No, me neither. No, I'm just telling you my experience. So there's nothing in it for us for saying that, but it is just, it's just what's working just now for small business. That's and it's just what's the best optimized just now.
Yeah, I would add that in my business, Venice, we use Shopify too. I've been on it for a couple of years and we've just upgraded our theme, or just in the process, which should go live later this week. But interesting, just for those that haven't been on Shopify, the cost, just to give you an idea, roughly about $29 per month. It's charged in dollars for the basic, for one of the basic sites. Then it moves up to $79 per month. And then when you've got much more advanced, which is probably multiple products, more sales, it goes up to $299 per month. That's sort of roughly the current charges. And then obviously you've got transaction fees as well. So again, it depends on the scale of where you are. If you're starting off small, you can certainly start on those smaller plans and move
Even
up.
if you're big, you can go on the smaller plans. I mean, that's the thing. It looks like you need to move up, but you just really don't. We built in Shopify. They had a deal on. We built for £1 a month. That was a deal that Shopify was doing.
Brilliant.
And only gave us 2 logons, but that was in it. We've got a team of 6. We just used a generic logon and we built the whole thing in 2 or 3 months, paying just £1 a month. So our upfront costs were practically zero. And then we decided to move on to the $79.99 a month because we wanted everyone to have their own logon. But actually, if we had just 2 people running the website, we'd have stuck on the $29.99 plan because you're not actually getting anything less, really. I mean, there's also the one thing you do need to factor in is the credit card cost. So if you're on Shopify, they have something called Shop Pay, which is effectively just a white labeled Stripe. So I don't know who your payment provider is. Stripe and I would say Stripe and Braintree are the ones that most people in the UK are using just now. They're very e-commerce focused, so they're 2 good ones to use. Shopify use Stripe, but it's a white label version of Stripe, so it's Shop Pay. And I think if you move up to the $79.99, if you're selling a lot, you get a better credit card rating. So we did the maths and we worked out that we would save on the credit card transactions because of the number of sales that are going through it. But to be honest, if you're just starting out or you're doing maybe less than 30,000 a month, you can go on the $29.99 platform. It will give you 2 logons. That's plenty. You don't lose anything. You don't gain very much by moving up, except for this credit card benefit and some more logons. So that's the wonderful thing about it, because normally with these kind of apps, you have to keep moving up. But we've got nearly 550 SKUs. I mean, we've got 500, 600 products on this website. And even at $29.99, that will cope with it. We have a lot of variants for some of our products. It doesn't bat an eyelid. So you can really save costs. You can save platform costs. Try it out, because you can start in the $29.99 version, and if you feel that you're constrained in any way, you can move up to the $79.99. But why pay $79.99 if you don't have to? Just stick with the $29.99 version. And there's a deal always for, as with all these things, for doing it annually. So you can actually grow really high and fast with quite low costs on this platform, and that's been a game changer for us, because we were able to take, as I say, it was $1,000 just to be on the platform using a very particular app that we needed for personalization with BigCommerce. So it would probably have been about 500 without the app, but it came out at about 1,000 before we sold anything. So that's been a massive difference for us in saving costs.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gillian. There's just a couple of comments in the chat. So Steve's mentioned about Shopify is great for physical goods, but not for digital only goods.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. So Shopify is very much focused on product and
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, I am talking here about physical products, you know, obviously, if you've got a digital, if you've got a digital product, fantastic. You don't have to worry about shipping. You don't have to worry about a lot of stuff that e-commerce owners have to do. So yeah, I am talking about physical product shops. So that may not be as relevant to everyone. Yeah.
Okay, and then Donald's mentioned, do you use Shopify plugin with a WordPress site? So I would suspect, I'll let you answer that, Gillian.
No, we just use, I mean, I don't know what the relationship between Shopify and WordPress is. I mean, we've had a WordPress blog before, but that was with Magento and that was a plugin. We just built it all in Shopify. We built it ourselves. So we didn't need a graphic. Well, we got a little bit of graphic design help, but we really, the team were technically able enough. It's just a drag and drop system. And it's all done within a closed custom widget system. So the blog is integral. So I'm not quite sure why you would need a WordPress site. Shopify is kind of a platform on its own. So I wouldn't think that there would be that necessary bit, I mean, obviously, if you've got a WordPress site and that's working for you, then fantastic. But what I would say, my experience would be what you're getting with some of these platforms is about, well, you're not paying any server costs for starters, that's all included. And B, it's about the optimization. It's about how searchable and findable you are on the internet. If you're on a platform that has put a lot of time and money into making the platform searchable, and this is true also of things like Amazon and Etsy, it's just, people will find it much more easily than they will if you're just a little site in the great internet out there. So that's really what the benefits of using these kinds of platforms are. It's your discoverability.
Yep, and I think on that, just looking at some of the other options that are available to you, there's a few here I've got on the list. So if you look at the bigger international ones that have the reach, obviously Etsy's a great one for product makers. And I'm thinking a lot of people are on here are crafters, makers, artists. And so Etsy obviously is one, and we'll come back to Gillian on that because I know she's got good experience on that. We've talked about Shopify, Amazon Handmade. Amazon opens up the doors to a massive customer base. Difficult to work with, challenging to work with, and it's certainly one that you need to you can consider. But it's the size of Amazon and its reach is really why people go on there. We've also got Not on the High Street, which has been around for many years and obviously does a lot of curated handmade products or craft-based products. And then also, of course, you've got all the social media platforms now have got their own shop aspects as well, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube. Everybody's got the connection and option to sell. So often there, it is a core website where you're doing your transactional sales, like a Shopify based one, and then connecting through all your social media channels to link up sales that come back to do the transaction through your website. So there's lots to look at there. I was going to ask Gillian, really again, from your experience, sorry, just before I do that, in the local area as well, there's a number of Scottish-based platforms. So just a couple that are very local. So you've got Highland Hiddle, which is focusing on Highland product. We've also got Isla 20, which is all multiple products that are made from the islands, which is great too. And a lot of these, those two sites particularly, have been going the last number of years through lockdown as well, and really helped individuals who would have relied on maybe tourists coming to reach that international audience. There's also Made Scotland, which is passionate about products made here. So yes, you've got the bigger sites, and you've also got these other localized, which have reach as well. So really to bear those in mind. But maybe if we go on to Etsy, Gillian, because that gives another insight into a different reach, a different type of demographic, I guess, or a very targeted one. Do you want to tell us a bit about your journey there? Because you do quite well on Etsy.
Yeah, we do quite a lot on Etsy. We've probably been on Etsy for maybe about 2.5 years, maybe not quite that, maybe 2 years. And we were surprised, I think, at the value of the items we could sell on Etsy. People will routinely spend, £300-400 on Etsy on a single product, not knowing us, not having seen it, and they will expect us to ship it to the States or, wherever. And always sort of slightly blows my mind that there is that element of trust, and that trust is coming through the platform. Etsy have a number of apps and a number of, well, not apps really, but a number of products within them where, trust badges, you can become a particularly trusted seller, and you have to meet targets like, you have to deliver 95% of everything within a very set period of time. You need to have 4.8 out of 5 overall on a monthly basis for your 5-star reviews. And you need to get back to your customers really quickly. And, that's what I would say about these things. I mean, Etsy is telling you that these are the things that are important to it and to its customers. Amazon's very similar. The speed of response, the speed of the order, and the speed of and the number of 5-star reviews is what they are going to promote you on. So you do these things, so you've got to get back to everyone quickly. So set up an automated response system so that they are getting an immediate response, which tells them, we're not online just now, we will respond to you as soon as we can. But that just ticks that box for Etsy. Whereas if you leave it for 24 hours, you might miss it. And that is going to, that's going to hurt your rankings within Etsy. So, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, I guess, but I would just say with these platforms, there's things they want you to do. They're pushing you to do it. Just do them, do the thing they're telling you to do, because that's the thing they're going to be promoting. That's the site. So we've kind of just gone with it. We've done, and, they came on to us and said, we think you should be advertising and spending, I don't know, $5 a day. So we did that, and that was beneficial to us. And then they said, we think you should be upping your spend to $8 a day. And, they're gonna want the dollars out of you. But actually we got a good return on advertising spend. On Etsy, we do a spreadsheet, we look at it all the time. We tend to stay, I mean, that's another thing, if you're on these platforms, if you're advertising on the platforms, and this is also true if you're doing, paid advertising in Google or on Facebook, do not be switching things on and off. Do things gently. Everything on the internet works with algorithms. Algorithms take a time to seed. So if you make a dramatic change to something, it's going to reset the algorithm. And depending on the product, depending whether it's Etsy or Amazon or Google or Shopify or whatever, these algorithms are going to take, up to 14 days to reseed. So you could switch your Etsy ads off and think, well, I'm not really getting many sales just now, but I'll switch them back on Black Friday. But you need to give it a build-in, and you need to be giving it, if you're changing the spend, don't just double it, change it by 20% every 2 or 3 days. Do not make rapid changes to anything that's algorithmic. So work out whether it's algorithmic. If it's algorithmic, just make sure that you are doing if you're increasing or decreasing it, do it really steadily and slowly, and you won't lose that traction that you've gained by the algorithm. Because, and the information you're feeding into it is the information it's feeding into the algorithm, and that's the information that they are then using to promote you to customers. So, what you tell these platforms, what you give them is absolutely vital, because that is just the way it works. That's how they're going to find the right customers for you. With something like Etsy, I mean, it's really easy to see who the top ranking sellers in your niche are. Just be all over them, be all over them, and just, just steal the best ideas is what I would say. Artists steal, everyone else just copies. It's, you obviously don't want to be copying text or duplicating text or anything like that. But if they are getting great results with a particular, with a particular kind of video, or with a particular, way of setting things out, and you can see that that's working for, the top sellers are all doing the same thing, just do that thing. That's the thing to do, because there's a lot of people spending a ton of money researching all of this stuff. And it's what I mean when I say don't do don't plow your own furrow in e-commerce. Do the thing that that the majority are doing, because that's the thing that's going to work. And that's how you're going to get sales, basically.
Great. So is anybody else on here selling through Etsy? It'd just be interesting to see if you find it as a positive platform for selling. Obviously, it's had a bit of negativity recently because of payment issues, but obviously it's one of the ones that's been around for a long time, particularly for makers, and it's got that reach to the market. So no comments coming up, that's fine. The other area that I wanted to raise was also the opportunity to wholesale your products through some of these platforms. So, for example, we had actually last year one of the speakers from FAIR on, and FAIR is one of the bigger ones that's wholesale platforms that effectively connects makers with shops. And they had an amazing offer on where you could sign up and they would sort out all the shipping for you, because that's one of the biggest challenges for smaller makers is the shipping and the logistics around it, the paperwork, all those things. So that was part of their offer. I'm not sure if that's still on, but certainly that was a key driver to recruit as many as possible to connect. And there were various benefits. So that's one, if you're interested in wholesaling your product to other shops, you could look at there's FAIR, there's Etsy wholesale. Now these are not ones I have I've used myself, but just in terms of research, they're ones you could look at. There's also Abound, and IndieMe and Handshake is also the wholesale platform by Shopify. So there's a number there to look into. At the end of this, those that have signed up, we've documented some of the information here, and we'll send out a handout. So yeah, we'll be sending that out through the Expo North team, but I just wanted to touch on the wholesale side as well. I'm just going to read a couple of the comments here. Let's see. I was on Sky when I joined. I'm now in Inverness, so we'll have to check. I have a look. Maybe it's more. Okay. So those are just some comments about the various products. Does anyone have any specific questions? We've got about just less than 20 minutes left, so it'd be good to know if you've got any specific questions in terms of what we've covered so far. Okay, just while we wait and see if anything comes in, I guess, Gillian, now in terms of the engagement with consumers, obviously it's very much about story, it's about narrative, it's about video content, more and more of that. What are you seeing in terms of that sort of direction, and how are you guys focusing on that as you move forward?
Well, I think the big change that we're seeing is AI. So, AI is massive. ChatGPT was 6 months old the other week. Absolutely blew my mind, the amount of AI tools we now have in e-commerce, given how quickly, how recently, ChatGPT was the first one that came on the market, and it's 6 months, and now we have an absolute plethora of AI tools. You've got to use them smartly. But for example, Adobe Photoshop now has an AI offering. We've got an AI offering on Canva. We've got Magic Canva. You can rewrite captions in Canva. Bard is fantastic. ChatGPT. The better you inform these, if you want a blog out of ChatGPT, you need to tell it exactly what you want it, and you need to keep honing it. And you can go back and say, this is not exactly what I want. I want you to do this in 100 words, or 60 words, or if it's a caption, or if it's for a newsletter. I would be cautious about how you use them. You don't want to AI your whole site. But if you are struggling with just how to jazz something up a little bit to make the tone a bit more fun, a bit more, definitely start using the AI tool. So that's going to be the massive way forward for e-commerce. It's leveling the playing field. If you're not a great writer, you can get some fantastic copy. But because of that, we will see a massive change in the way that Google starts to rank people organically, because it's been ranking on content. If everyone has access to the same quality content, then Google will have to change how it judges, how it ranks your website. So that's something to really look out for. The other things that I think that are very prevalent just now that are changing things about conversion are things like cookies going, privacy settings. It's becoming much, much more difficult if you're using Facebook ads or any kind of advertising to track that. We've moved from Google Universal Analytics to GA4. I don't know anyone who thinks this has been a good thing, but that's what Google's done to us. So tracking and using the data is absolutely vital. You absolutely have to see where your sales are coming from. You have to work out what's working, and you have to put the spend there. All of these kind of, as you grow, it's a pay to play model. It's difficult to do it without spending anything. You can, but you're going to restrict your growth. So, you know, there are so many different people looking for your e-commerce money that you've got to be really careful how you negotiate and navigate that kind of jungle and decide how. So I would say, you know, one of the most important things is the quality of your data, how clean your data is. You know, we did an exercise at the beginning of the year. We were going into scale up mode, and we just looked back at our data, and there was a number of anomalies in our data, which needed quite a lot of work to clean them out, you know, and then we could be confident in our data going forward. So yeah, I think data is absolutely key to the whole thing.
Great, thank you. There's a couple of questions come in. You mentioned selling internationally, US and Europe. Have you got any tips for navigating customs and international shipping, or do you use a fulfillment service? Now, that's actually a good point, is that whole support around that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd love to be able to use a fulfillment service, but because our products are personalized by us, we have to do the fulfillment. We just don't have a way around that. Not every product, but our lockets are personalized, so we do fulfillment. It has been really, really difficult. I mean, I don't know anybody who has cracked this yet. We were sending abroad with a combination of Royal Mail, DPD, and DHL. DHL was our preferred operator, but DHL costs have gone absolutely through the roof. They are so expensive just now. What was costing us maybe 15 quid to get it into Europe is now costing us maybe 29, 30 pounds. So, you know, you've got to get that back from your customer, and then there can be a customer's charge on top. Now, there really hasn't been, you know, there's a lot of erraticism in the system. It's different in France from Germany. The requirements that you need, I mean, even if you do everything absolutely perfectly and upload all the digital invoicing and all the rest of it, which you must always do, you are going to find that somebody in Italian customs has just got some hang up about something, and then that parcel's going to be sitting there for 2 weeks until and nobody's going to tell you about it until you start chasing. So it has become a lot more difficult. Royal Mail obviously had their big problem where they weren't sending anything. They had a cyber hack, and they could send nothing internationally. They are now sending internationally. We are now using Royal Mail. We're having many, many fewer problems with Royal Mail. DPD were doing great for us, but they just pulled the plug. So we can't use DPD anymore. I think that's kind of universal. I don't think they're doing Europe anymore. So we're back to using Royal Mail, and that's working for us just now. That is working for us. Be really careful going down the route. I mean, there are lots of tax partners you can get who can help you do VAT in these overseas countries. Be really careful signing up to them. I've got one e-commerce company I know very well who was doing about 80,000 a year in Germany. They had somebody doing, you know, one of these partners doing German VAT for them, and they had to file the VAT return quarterly, and they paid a set price for that. Brexit has killed their German business. They are doing nothing in Germany, but they still have to pay for these VAT returns, which are zero returns to go in. They've tried very hard to get out of it and to do it themselves, but they are now locked into this system where they have to keep filing zero returns, and it's costing them money. So, I mean, there are sort of horror stories like that abound. I would say, you know, dip in. A platform like Etsy is great because obviously if you're selling products for under £150, you can use either the Etsy, or if it's Amazon, the Amazon IOSS number. So you don't need an IOSS number of your own, which is a number that is an EU number that allows you to overrule customs. So that's a really helpful thing. If you don't have your own IOSS number, it only applies to products at under £150. But if you're selling under £150, you don't need to worry about it. Etsy or Amazon will sort it all out for you. They'll give you the number you can use. You put it on your digital invoice when you're using whichever courier it is, and that will make the process a lot smoother. So that would be my tip for internationalization. I mean, it's expensive to internationalize your own website. It's expensive to advertise overseas. You can spend a lot of money and not really hit your target market, because, you know, that's quite a complicated thing to do. So I would always, you know, say, try it out on a platform first. And somewhere like Amazon, Etsy, eBay, they have big international, you know, they are international companies. So, you know, they've got a lot of these things sewn up and tidied up for you. But once you're into the process of foreign VAT, you really need specialist help, I think.
Great, thank you. There's one more here, Claire Louise Battersea, thank you. So my main business is my art, and the new business launching is in home decor using my art. If people physically see my art products, they buy it. I'm really struggling to get that translated online for e-commerce. Any advice?
So when you say translated online, you mean it's the visual quality of so people seeing them in real life will buy them, but you're having difficulty translating that onto your e-commerce site. If I got that right, yeah. Well, you know, it is about the quality of your photography and videography, and I would say that is true of every physical product e-commerce business. You have to absolutely make these images stand out. You know, you need a really, really good professional photographer. If you're selling something like art, it's definitely worth spending some money on it. And you know, if it's a high value product, getting it right and getting it up there. I think the other thing to think about is just, you know, product pages are the new home pages. Most people are going to come into your website onto a product page. They're not going to come in via the home page. So you need to make that product page as rich as possible. You know, that's where they're at, and that's where they need the image. So they want a lot of images. They want a lot of information. So you need to show, you know, you need to show the art. You need to show the close-up. You need to show the scale of the art. You need to show whether it's framed or not framed. You need to give them all of these options visually. If you've got a video with, perhaps you could talk about the art, you know, have the work there and discuss it, describe it. You as the artist, they're buying you as much as they're buying the art, they're buying the person. So I would very much say, you know, for every if it's big pieces or small pieces, I would have and you can use your phone for this. You can get someone to do, you don't need to do professional videography. I would say you need professional photography, but you can do quite raw videos, and people are going to accept that. That feels genuine and authentic. That's a trust issue. That's going to work in your favor. So I would say, you know, have really great images of the art, and then have a video with you with the piece, talking about it, the inspiration, pointing out about it, showing it in a setting, describing how you would, you know, use this piece of art or where it would go. And you can, you know, basically you are selling direct to them. And obviously you can do this very, very well on socials. So TikTok, I would say, absolutely go there. You know, everyone thinks, oh, I can't sell on TikTok because it's all, you know, no, everyone is on TikTok. You will find your TikTok audience. You just haven't found them yet. So find that audience on TikTok, use the keywords, use the way you're optimizing. The TikTok algorithm is unbelievable at finding the right people if you seed it the right information. But Instagram, Reels, obviously, Facebook, I would be setting up a Facebook group. Community is massive in 2023. It's going to be more important in 2024. If you don't have a Facebook group that you can get your customers coalescing, it doesn't have to be around your product, but if you're an outdoor sports kit supplier, you want to have a Facebook group which is talking about the kinds of activities your customers are doing. I would say the person who does this best that I have ever seen is a woman called Sarah Harron. Joe knows her. She has a handbag site called Sarah Harron Handbags. Go and look at her Facebook group, Joyful Gems, because she Bags of Joy. She pivoted her business in lockdown because nobody needed a handbag, because nobody was going anywhere, and she has completely and utterly transformed that business by using a subscription model, by using a Facebook community, and these women now sell the bags for her to each other, and they're massive collectors of handbags. So, you know, you need to come at it with a very lateral thinking. Think like your customer. How would I sell art to me if I was wanting to find art on the internet? And then do that thing, you know. But the visual imagery is really important. I would be having a lot of videography in there as well.
Great. Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I think that's the thing. People buy from people, and it's that connection and story and narrative, and particularly for anyone making beautiful product here in this region. We've got great story to tell because of where we're based, for all of those things. So yeah, it is really that working out how you can connect with your customer, and obviously depending on what the website is like that you're using, how that reach is working with SEO and all the optimization that's needed. I think Gillian's mentioned Sarah Harron, the handbags, great change model, how she's embraced a community to help sell her product rather than her selling her own product herself. And again, she's grown quite considerably by doing that in a very short space of time.
Yeah, I mean, we need to. I mean, Claire Louise is just saying that she is a professional photographer, so her photography and her imagery is going to be brilliant. So that isn't going to be the issue. Video, obviously, and in front of the camera. Nobody likes being in front of the camera. Really, it's a horrible, horrible place to be. It's where you need to go. You need to go to interact with your customers. It's what your customers want to see. It's what social is boosting right now. You know, you have got to get in front of that camera at least once or twice a week. I'm really sorry, it's horrible, I hate it. I don't do it enough, but you've got to do lives, you've got to do, and you can repost these things, and the social platforms will boost these things. You know, posts are doing very little just now on Instagram, but you will get further with reels and reaches. So, you know, I think, Claire, you're absolutely right. You've got to be in front of the camera. It's and you will be much better at it than you think you are. You know, you are your worst critic. Everyone else will love to see you and hear what you've got to say, because it's your passion about your product that is going to be what sells it. The other thing I would say is just, you know, look a little bit. We're talking about product and how to make, you know, a product page. There are tricks you can use to make things sell on a product page. And they are very, very specific. And you need to do really certain things. Like you need it above the fold. You need the add to cart button above the fold. You want the add to cart button on mobile to be full width of the mobile. You want to have trust icons, either your review star rating or something like that, quite close to the add to cart button, maybe just underneath the title. You need to have any kind of payment plans that you use, like Klarna or ClearPay. You need to have those. These are very important now while people have cost of living crisis. A lot of people are looking to split their payments. You know, you need to have those. And the way you set up a converting product page is going to be, you know, so different from the same product page that doesn't convert. There are definite tricks and tips that you need to be doing to get that product page right. And there are, I mean, that's a whole other conversation, is about, you know, how we optimize for conversion on a product page. But go and look at a product page that's working really well. You know, if there's a big company, you know, that you know is doing it right, go and see where they put their price, what size of font they're putting their title in, how they're using their images, where they're putting their video, what sort of FAQs they have on the page. You know, if they're not selling that one product, you don't want to lose people off that page. You want to have a list of other things along the bottom that they might prefer. So, you know, on that page, it's got to work really hard. It has to be really rich in content. So quite often, you know, when we find we aren't selling things that we think we should be selling, a lot of it is around how we present these things and what the psychology of selling is, what people need to know and see about your product to give them faith. And often it's the things we don't, it's the back of the product, it's what the catch looks like, it's the dull things that you think, well, you know, duh, you know, it's just a catch, but they need to know what it looks like because they're going to put a pendant on it, or their grandmother can't undo catches and they want to see what it looks like. And that can be the make or break of a sale. One of the things we use just now is Zikpoll. It's a free tool. I'll put it in the chat, and it's a post-purchase survey. So when people leave our site, there's a little satisfaction rating, and they can press a button and they can leave a comment. Now, we were using a different one. I can't remember what his name was, but it was more interactive. People could say more about why they did or didn't like the site. And you can just, you know, I think you get 100 a month free. The first 100 customers a month can leave information for you in Zigpal. That is absolute gold. Getting that information from your customers who have just bought, they're going to tell you why they almost didn't just buy. That's the question you need to ask. Why did you not almost just buy? You can't really ask that question, but that's what you need to find out, because they will tell you where the pain points are and the headaches are. And, you know, and they will say things like, oh, I bought this, I nearly didn't because X. And that, you know, fix X. That's the thing you need to fix. And get friends and family, get anyone you can to do a sort of user experience thing on your website. Where are they finding it difficult? Because we're so close to our website, so close to our product, we often don't really understand what it is that's putting other people off from converting.
Really great advice there, Gillian. Thank you so much. We're actually come to the end. It's 12 o'clock. So we said we would do this in an hour. So anybody got any comments you'd like to make? Hopefully you find that really useful. Obviously, really good feedback for Digital Expo North Digital as well. So yeah, this is actually being recorded, and Expo North will have it up through their website in the next week or so, I suspect. And also, as I say, we'll send out some notes that we've made following this as well.
And I'm on LinkedIn as Gillian Crawford. You can find me there. I will link in with you. I will answer any questions that you have. Yeah. It's, you know, it's always really difficult to give useful information in a webinar when you don't know everybody's business, but it's clear that there's some fantastic e-commerce sites out there, some fantastic product. It's a great way of selling, and you know, you do have to persevere, but you will get there. But I would say completely and utterly get in front of that camera. And the person who's going to start with their hands, start with your hands, but move on to your face really, really fast, because that's what people want to see.
Excellent. Gemma, is there anything you'd like to add? Are we?
Yes, that was amazing. That was so interesting, and there was so much information shared in such a short space of time. So thank you ever so much, ladies, and thank you everyone for joining us. I too hope that you guys enjoyed today's session and you found it a valuable use of your time. Please do visit our website, www.exponorth.co.uk, where you can look at our event section, and you can sign up to our newsletter to be kept up to date with future events and news. Also on the website, we have our video archive with lots of extremely interesting content, as well as our inquiry form for specialist sector support. Make sure to connect with us on Facebook, X, also known as Twitter, Instagram and LinkedIn. Thank you again for joining us. That was a really, really good session. Really enjoyed it, and I hope you all did too.